Right, so now we're going to go over the shutdown sequence for the PVD system. In general, a lot of these components should stay on for the entire time, just to maintain the vacuum in the system. But a lot of the parts do have to be turned off between uses. So first and foremost, after you do an EBeam deposition, you're going to turn off the gun filament, turn off the high voltage, turn off this key card, turn off your filament for the gauge. This one's a little sticky, so you gotta, there we go. We're gonna turn off the power supply. At this point, you can vent your chamber. So we'll do an auto stop. And as the nitrogen flows in, you can then retrieve your coated samples once it's completely vented. So this will take, maybe 1 or 2 minutes. Yeah, that's pretty much, yeah. We gotta wait a minute. All right, so our system is completely vented. I'm gonna open it up and retrieve our samples. So, can unscrew it with this Allen key. Then unscrew it from the holder. Now, if you look at your wafer, you'll be able to see the difference between where the clip was blocking it and where the chromium metal is. Of course, this is a very thin chromium, so the difference isn't very pronounced, but if you do, say, like a thick silver or thick gold, you'll be able to very clearly see that line, showing that you have deposited metal over the sample. Now that this is done, we're going to put everything back in and keep this system under vacuum while we're not using it. So we press the auto start again, and it's going to pump down before we do total shutdown of the system. Okay, pause that for a minute. All right, so now we're going to go through the shutdown procedure. What? Oh yeah, we did do that. Sorry. Right. So now that we've retrieved our samples and we've pumped the chamber back down to a high pressure, the next thing that we have to do is prepare the chamber to be essentially left for some time. So the biggest concern is damage to the turbo pump. So if you plan on not using the system or pretty much every weekend, you want to always turn off the turbo pump. So it's very simple. We're just going to press the stop button. Immediately, the system senses that the turbo pump has been turned off and closes the high vacuum valve. Now what it's going to do is it's going to allow the turbo pump to spin down while still supplying power to it. This prevents any damage to the turbo pump. This takes about 10 minutes to be completely spun down. And then the next steps for shutting down is you can turn off all these sources in the back. So while it's being shut down, you can turn off the water source and the drain source, the two ones on the right. And additionally, on the far left, you can turn off the nitrogen 99. The nitrogen 95 should probably be left on at all times, only because that is the only way that I can actuate the valves. So that should always be left on, just in case, for any reason the valves have to do a switch over. Should be said though, none of these really need to be turned off. All of these sources can be kept on for as long as needed. Just the most important thing for shutdown is making sure that the turbo pump is turned off. Yep.